Mia, what are you doing calling? Evan, I'm scared.
Now, back to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
Evan Ginnings in for Matt Stein. That's Gerald the Guru Johnson. Mark Willard, John Dickinson in the house. You guys were just swapping stories about Mexico. Sounds like you had very different experiences. What's up, Will?
Yeah.
Danny got a tan. I got a natural tan, but you got that Cabo tan. Looking good.
Yeah, the hardest time we had out there was going ocean fishing, and the little guy got a little sick. That was the hardest. That was the hardest part of our trip.
Was sick just overnight, or?
Oh no. This is like classic, just dumb dude down in Mexico with his kids.
I know about that.
You know what I mean? You walk to the airport, and I'm already like throwing out, like, sure, I'll buy your activities like a dummy, but whatever. He got all the stuff, and we went snorkeling, and we went on ATVs, all the stuff that people do. And then the last day, I'm like, well, take my oldest, as you know, is a big fisherman. All right, we'll go fishing. Little do I know what the hell's going on. You end up on this little boat with two people. Bless them, they were so kind. No English.
Yeah, right.
And so we're just like, using hand signals, and we're driving for an hour and a half out into the Pacific, and my little guy is just, Dad, hold my waist. He's just puking in the ocean
Love Boat
for a half hour, and we're all looking at each other like, you just put 5 poles in the water and stare at them and hope that they bow.
Yep.
Well, they never did. So we're just driving around in circles in 90-degree heat with a 9-year-old puking over the side.
Man.
And I finally looked at him and I just did the universal.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Turn it around.
No
and,
fish fry for the Willards.
No, God, take us home. This is awful. Get us back to the pool. So, just idiot American stuff.
So you
But
guys
other
both
than
were
that-
shedding tears last week on your vacation.
Oh my gosh!
Dude, that
Other
is
than that,
great.
it was straight perfection.
Dude, your pictures were
Paradise.
phenomenal. But
Yeah,
Cabo is where where you go someplace like where Stein. The pictures speak of the the background.
It just it was either was it going to be 89 degrees or 88 degrees every day.
Oof.
An infinity
JD,
pool.
you been there, Cabo?
I haven't, but looking at Mark's photos, they kept popping up.
I gotta be careful
I'm
here.
like, damn, I need I want to
get out
maybe
there.
next
Now,
week.
I want to go. I got to be
Not bad.
careful,
San
Evan.
Lucas.
Don't let me get in trouble. I do have a problem with us where we go through before you get to Paradise. There's a lot happening in Mexico in their city,
Yes.
and we just drive past, and then there's Paradise. Go enjoy yourself. So
We flew fast, so-
okay, but yeah,
yes,
you know what
yes.
I mean. It's like wow, man, just like
sure.
everywhere, but yeah.
The only thing that came up, and this was great.
You laughing.
Three African American ladies, bless them, they were so
Black.
awesome. Dude, we go ATVing, so you get in a big van, right? The van comes to your hotel.
I never knew that.
and this particular company picks you up. And so, okay, my whole family, Christy was down there. We all get in the family. We're going for an ATV ride at sunset. It was unbelievable. Halfway through the ride, the guy just pulls off on the side of the freeway. And there's another van right behind him.
Oh.
Right? And everybody's like,
Traffic,
what the
the
hell's
movie.
going on? Why are we stopping?
I want to get in that van.
All of a sudden, the driver of the other van gets out on the freeway.
Oh, no.
And here come these 3 ladies. And they're not, again, there's not a lot of English going on. And he's just waving these 3 ladies onto our van. And she's like, what the hell? He's going, I'm not trying to get kidnapped in Mexico.
Right. You
What are
think
you doing? We're like, we're going to do the ATV ride. She looks at the driver. She's like, why didn't you say that to me then?
I feel like I know her.
Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. So everybody
Get along.
took one another under their wing and said it was going to be okay. I still don't know why they had to trade from one van to the
boy.
next van, but yeah, it feels sketchy sometimes.
Oh, that's
but
great.
not in
man.
Cabo. Not in Cabo.
Right.
I mean, this is an unsavory way to say it, but whoever's kidnapping people in Mexico,
Yeah.
they're not going to do it in Cabo.
No, I got you.
Because then their targets would stop showing up.
No doubt about
They're
it.
not going to make
That's a
Cabo
money
unsafe,
maker,
you
no
know?
doubt.
Yeah, just got to make sure to go where you're supposed to go and what you're told to
We
do.
just-
Rob Lowe
just
had a
stay
great
at the
movie
hotel.
called,
Beautiful
about-
pool. We just stay
No
there.
doubt.
Yeah.
About last night, but it's about yesterday in the game because I want to just, Evan, if I can, just be Ricky Henderson.
Oh, lead off.
Listen, I've been the biggest Trey Lance advocate, but it was about the opportunity. So if I can go on a tour here and apologize, because Mike was reporting, Mike Silver, what he had been hearing, and all the beat, like he might be out. What I saw yesterday from Trey, and I know it's one game, JD, and I ain't saying he's finished. I'm hurt and disappointed because I feel, forget the 10 or 15, the mental game is what I thought you were going to be doing in the lab and holding on to the ball, the 4 sacks, the 1 speed. I'm not out, but now I do understand, guys. You guys reporting in the clips of we don't know where this thing is going. Now I'm sitting back like I told Evan, if he's third string or they decide he's done, now I can process it because people have been calling all day, even Bonte Shasky, oh, you guys didn't do that. And I'm a Trey advocate, but some of the onus is on him to get better. And I didn't see a guy that got better yesterday, man.
He looked like that was he looked as uncomfortable as he's ever looked in an NFL game.
Jay?
Preseason or regular
injury?
season. He hadn't played a lot, but he looked, to me, that was like the first game that he ever started in the regular season against Arizona without the running.
Yeah.
It was just uncomfortable, unsure. And that's really not, from a confidence standpoint, how he's looked at practice. He's looked much more composed. Now, I disagree with the notion, I know we're going to get into this during the show, that he had built up some cushion like he was the front runner, for the backup spot.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it had been very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys,
I hadn't felt like that to me.
Yeah,
and
you
I've been
guys-
out there every day.
You guys
And-
had some callers not too long ago go with the narrative that Trey had clearly been the most accurate
no
QB in
doubt.
practice.
Go ahead.
No.
And
No.
You were go ahead, JC.
That's not true.
And
That's just not true.
And my point generally, and we'll get in more depth on it, has been, hey, if you think Darnold's been a little better, that's fine. If you think Trey's been a little better, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been a dramatic, Trey's been way better, and now Darnold's got to do something to even it out or take the lead. They were close enough to even to where you look at the game now yesterday, and Darnold's clearly ahead. Because that's kind of how I try to very linearly
better
look at
than
it.
Lance, man.
Well, yeah, it's advantage Darnold. Like, if there is a battle for the backup spot, which that's what the 49ers have said since the beginning of training camp,
that's why he's here.
then Darnold is ahead right now. Is it over? No.
No.
But
Boy, time's running out,
But
Willard.
Trey Lance didn't change your mind.
That's-
Whatever you
oh
thought
my
about him coming
gosh.
into that game.
No, he confirmed it. I mean, look, here's the thing. Here's the thing that nobody wants to say because it feels like, and I know even like you saying, I got to apologize or walk back. You don't need to do any of that. We all have our opinions in the moment, and they can change based on new information. So I don't want what I'm about to say next to be
misconstrued.
well, I don't want it to be held around what's going to happen 12 months from now. This is what I'm saying right now, and it seems very hard for people to say this. He's not very good. He's just not very good. Maybe in 12 months he
I
will
have
be.
nothing for you right now to rebuttal.
Maybe in 6 months he will be. Maybe in 3 months
here?
he will be. We are here on August, what's today, 14th? Okay, the season starts in 3.5, 4 weeks. He cannot be the quarterback of any NFL team right now. He's not very good. I don't know what it's going to be someday, but we've all agreed on this with the Wiseman conversations with the Warriors and the 49ers with Trey Lance. There's no time to sit around and figure out if someday he's going to be good. They owe him nothing. They owe him absolutely nothing. He has been given absolutely every opportunity that they could potentially even try to give him. Right now, he's not very good. I don't know what else to
like
say.
our 4 hours, man. I think a month ago I tried to fight you on that. Just like, there's something. It was the ideology of him. It was, why did Kyle pick him? And I just told him before you guys came in, JD, I'm so disappointed. I'm not trying to, it sounds like I'm giving up on the kid. It has me thinking now on draft day, Evan said it so eloquently, that maybe they traded up for an option and it wasn't just we're in love with Trey. But that's all on the table for me now because who's responsible for this kid not being ready?
But it's not about that. It's not about his development anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's about who can be the backup quarterback like that. And I think
I
there's
ain't
so
mad at
many
you.
different ways that everybody views his career at this point and what the 49ers owe. Or look, there's been some legitimate bad luck circumstances.
Totally.
There's no doubt.
Totally.
From the injuries and all of that have set him back. That's very real. But we're not in the business now of saying, well, because he was unlucky. He gets an opportunity.
We need
now.
to find a number 2.
He is at this point in the consolation bracket.
Well,
right? It's a double elimination tournament. Purdy's in the championship game as the
telling no
starter,
lies, man.
and now it's a consolation bracket. So we don't get to go back, Evan, and revise.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get to do it with the ones, and the offensive line
Now,
was
so
this.
you're saying there's no merit to that, JD?
It's who's better.
Or is that denial?
Those are
Willard,
the
is that denial?
circumstances.
No,
he's not
everybody-
going to get to play. The only
I
way
told
he's going to
Evan
get
that.
the only way he's going to get to play with McCaffrey and the
If
ones
somebody got hurt.
is if two
Man.
people
Oh,
maybe
you might
get
be-
hurt.
Since you just brought that up, can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Because
That's what I say.
But this
my
isn't
man,
about
take your
that.
time.
My man, I love you, but
Yeah.
I've heard you one too many times this month talk about what would it look like if Trey got to play with McCaffrey. I've never seen a running back in this league just show up and suddenly make a quarterback.
Ask
It's-
Sam Darnold, who played with McCaffrey.
Exactly. Like that's not going to do it. Yes, as JD is saying, have there been bad breaks? He didn't get to play with the Ferrari that we now call it. He got hurt. He got hurt multiple times. The Jimmy Garoppolo situation is a weird one. Being drafted to a good team instead of a bad one. All of these are bummer realities for Trey Lance, but.
You guys on fire, man.
Yeah, like he's at a certain point, you are who you are, and right now he's just not a very good quarterback. Now, with regard to the whole development thing, like I know that everyone wants to go, okay, so where did the problem actually take place?
Like,
right?
why did you go? Why did you
There
do
you
what
go.
you did?
Like when you say who's responsible for developing him. Well, let's go to all the top 5 quarterbacks in history who stunk. Do you look at, let's say, Jamarcus Russell and say the Raiders didn't develop him? Or do you just go, he was a miss? It's just not very good. Is Achilles Smith, is he just not good? Or
Just not good.
Okay. So, yes, there is something that will need to be accountable in the 49er organization for the pick that you made. But for me, it's not a matter of development. It's not like, oh, he would have been good if Kyle had developed him differently. That's just, are you good or are you not? You can now go back to the pick. The assessment of who he was going to be was wrong, I think, but that's different than did they develop him the right way.
And I think that's where the connection to James Wiseman is so clear of like, this player's on a different timeline than your team is.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
to your point about the biggest, busts in NFL history, at least there was some runway for us to figure out if they were bad. Unfortunately for Trey Lance, we are going to nitpick and dissect 16 different ways a preseason game because that's all he's going to get. Because there's someone better than him in front of him. And it's why we had Sean King on earlier, whose career is, I would say, probably most akin to Brock Purdy's as far as being a late round pick and getting the opportunity. In Sean King's case, he had it taken away. We'll see about Brock Purdy. But his evaluation of Trey Lance's big time talent, inconsistent execution, I would revise that to some talent and too much or a lack of execution. Like you can't sell me on the fact that the plays that Trey Lance did make outweighed the potential game-altering mistakes that he also made.
I mean, let's be honest. He was bad yesterday.
Yeah.
He was just bad.
You're right.
I
I
liked
watched
his-
it again.
his
It was
two-
bad.
Like he
His
literally threw an interception that lucked into being a touchdown. Like,
And held on to the ball.
Did you guys see Barrow's stat with regard to how the touchdown
Yes.
changed the quarterback rating? For those of you,
About 100
for
points.
those of you who
Was
went
it
to the
100?
box
It was
score,
damn close.
Hey, what? My gosh! If Jimmy or Brock had gone 10 of 15 with a QBR of 111, if that defender for the Raiders just catches the ball in the end
And
zone,
it was a horrible.
his QBR goes from 111 to 33.
Okay.
Okay, his 2 throws over the middle to Conley.
That's the
were
kryptonite.
good throws.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. Yes, there were a couple easier ones that he also made, a couple easy ones that he missed. But no, if you watch the game, he wasn't good.
And I tell
He wasn't
Evan,
good.
in my world, I have a metric. It's quarterback mannerisms. Like Boomer Esiason with the play action play. Guys that just have a feel. Brock Purdy has it. I never knew he had it, but I watch him now. I'm like, you got that little Joe Montana stuff. Go ahead, Evan.
By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM, HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
And I hate saying this. Trey has none of it.
doesn't
And
look
this is year
comfortable.
3.
Yeah, doesn't look
Well,
comfortable.
JD said it. Why? And I'm going to say this because I'm going ego. Kyle can never be the guy. And he probably like, Guru, I don't care. We're winning. when I think of Phil Jackson, it's not just the championships, it's I'm the Zen guy. If you got a problem with the players amongst each other, I can fix it. Have me come in, I can get it done. My thing with Kyle is this is going to be so bad just on your resume. Now, it's not going to mean you may not win the Super Bowl, but if I need a coach or a GM to pick a quarterback for me coming out of college, Kyle's the last dude I'm calling, Willard, because your brilliance is if I need a 3rd and 15 or I need a 3rd and 8 to get my horses open, he can do all of that.
But who even cares about that right now?
But this is so bad.
Like, this isn't about Kyle Shanahan, can he evaluate the quarterback? This is, can you win the Super Bowl?
All I'm saying is when we talk about brilliance and we talk about Jedis, no matter what happens, and they can go win this, there's a price to pay in the court, JD, that you may say, Goo, you know what? Who cares about the guys at the bar? But to me, this is a demerit if Trey Lance doesn't pop, that you move mountains to get a dude that couldn't do anything.
First of all, I was in the room when the Zen Master was overseeing a complete implosion of his locker room, and 2 of the greatest players of all time wouldn't even speak to one another anymore. So there's that. Secondarily, though, we were talking about this a little bit. I think each fan, and this is everybody to themselves, you can hold it around an organization or an individual's neck when they miss on a pick. I don't necessarily look at it that way. I bake it into the process. You're going to miss on some. Everybody does. Everybody does. Is this one potentially excessively bad? Because it's not one first-round pick. It was 3 years of first-round picks. Yes, absolutely. But every great coach, right? Bill Walsh, Gio Carmazzi, he thought that was going to be, and I know that wasn't, that early of a pick, but every single coach misses on picks, and quarterback evaluation coming out of college is incredibly difficult. So that's not to excuse it. Yeah. It's a terrible, terrible pick. But if the 49ers were missing on all of their picks, then I would have more of that problem.
And if there wasn't a Brock Purdy.
I feel like they have kind of the same batting average that a lot of teams have.
If not better ones beyond a certain round. I just think the issue that a lot of people have is, and it's probably unfair, but like, okay, those 3 first-round picks are now Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb, or whatever they are for the Miami Dolphins that they turned them into. So people are understandably saying, oh, well, you could have used that pick to bolster this or got some better talent here.
Could have been Micah Parsons. Trey Lance could have been Micah.
It also could have been the offensive tackle whose name we don't know anymore. Right. So, I mean, I'm with him there. But the point is, you have basically not allowed yourself to make those mistakes by putting stock into a choice, into not a person, but an option. And that option so far is paying nothing. So, look, I think Brock Purdy is the only reason that we haven't had really that conversation of what it means, and the fact that Kyle Shanahan has won since then, but that is his lone avenue for us to not ream him and kill him for that pick, is to win, and so far he's done it.
I agree with that. Do you remember when Trey got picked, we had these shows about like, okay, Kyle has hitched his wagon to this kid, and if it doesn't work, he's dust. But look at us. It appears that it didn't work.
Well, yeah.
Jimmy
was going to be gone.
Yeah. Jimmy was going to be
gone.
Right.
Yeah. And Brock Purdy turned into somebody that played better than Jimmy.
I mean, there's no getting around what you're saying. Absolutely. Like at a certain point, the narrative goes one of multiple ways. And right now, the big favorite is the idea that the 49ers really gagged a pick.
But they're still winning because they hit with the mystery.
Yeah, but I try to avoid that road of like, well, if they had kept the pick and then Tyreek Hill and Micah Parsons and Jalen Waddle and
Can you imagine?
I can imagine Nick Bosa being traded right now because they wouldn't be able to afford to keep all of those players. So that's an if game that just it's fantasy land.
Let me throw this at you two before we get out of here. So I know I live in the world and I view sports through my Disney prism, but if I were running a team and I had a guy of the stature of Nick Bosa and I had a year before I knew I had to give him basically a blank check, I understand, and Steiny was ribbing me about, he's just missing out on preseason. But Mark and JD, I believe in karma. And when I say karma, sports karma, for the way that we see guys hold out, and then we laugh and say, oh, they actually won. They didn't have pads on. They're not working hard. They'll show up. And then in week 1 or week 2, a soft tissue injury. To me, it just puts a stain on something that doesn't have to be a stain. Now, I know I'm not a GM in the front office, but can you two tell me, I was on the plane thinking about this, where is Bosa and what's now, I forget Chris Jones at Kansas City. JD, I thought this would be a match made in heaven in the sense that you want him around. Mm-hmm. You want him in pads. I don't want, the eve of week 1 in Pittsburgh in the cold, Bosa plays, he got his money, he come up lame, he's going to miss 3. Like, in my world, I've seen that go bad more times than it's gone good.
I don't think that they're happy that he's not there.
Wow, okay.
But at the same time, the 49ers just put the rat on the table. They like to be the smartest people in the room when it comes to every contract negotiation. And they like to make guys think that they're not totally going to get everything they want. Here's the deal. You pay Nick Bosa the biggest contract that's non-quarterback in NFL history, plus a little bit, and he's there. Yeah. But they don't want to do that without making him work for it. And Bosa's like, well, then I ain't coming, and I might not come till Labor Day if you don't do it.
I mean,
so Debo went through what you're saying? They did it with Debo, or they didn't get to that point?
I think they did do it with Debo, but they don't. Like, Bosa's a whole different animal. Look at the Bosa family. Like, it's
Evan just pointed that out.
They brought that up. This is their MO. This is their MO.
Evan just brought it up.
That's what they do.
This is their MO also.
You're not paying him a number that you're uncomfortable with. You're going to pay him a number.
His brother didn't step on an NFL field until he got his money.
Think of a number you're uncomfortable. Think of a number you're uncomfortable with if you're the Niners. Highest paid player ever that's not a quarterback. Yeah. And then add a little bit to it, and that's the number you're going to pay him.
I guess get
a grip.
No, I'm with you.
It ain't rocket science.
I'm having a hard time getting hot and bothered on this one because I think everybody knows exactly how it's going to play out, and it will. Okay. And there's no incentive, quite frankly, for him to be there now.
Let me give you what my partner told me.
I mean, how many guys of that stature got on the field yesterday?
Gotcha.
None.
Point, Mark Willard.
Yeah.
But my point is bigger than that. It's what Debo told us that we didn't know we were watching last year, even though it was a different version. He wasn't in the best shape because of he was scrubbing his Instagram. He wasn't there.
But he was
I'm not saying Bosa's eating Funyuns and drinking sodas.
That was actual standoff.
Okay,
I don't believe this is. I could be wrong.
I think this is.
You do?
I
think there's some anger behind this?
Yeah, I do. Both ways.
Okay.
I think the Niners are pissed he didn't show up and sit out.
How can it not be, Mark?
I don't think the Niners care that he's not practicing. I think the Niners would prefer that he's there.
I'm sure they would prefer it, but there's something different between we would prefer and we're raging ticked. Like the Debo thing, the guy scrubbed his Instagram. He giving you the shake off in a club.
But his body, he said he wasn't in the best shape, and I don't know. We don't know if that's
is not
true.
Doing that.
Okay, all right.
I'm not worried about Bosa.
And I don't think Debo was doing it on purpose. But when you hear a guy,
I think Debo was
Evan,
doing it on
say
purpose.
that, then I start thinking about the residue of it all. Like, okay, is Bosa? Yeah, you're working out wherever, but it ain't here with the guys. Now he could come and get 30 sacks, but it just. Yeah, I would like to have him here.
I do think it points to how much of the benefit of the doubt we give the 49ers because they've done this before. They've gotten their deals done. Like, if any other Super Bowl contending team did not have their best player in camp right now, that would be the biggest story, right?
Yeah.
And yet it's like story number 5 for the 49ers.
The reason the running back stories around the league are bigger is twofold. A, it's because we're all addicted to fantasy football.
Love that.
Draft coming up.
But it's because there's actual anger there and the unknown of how this is going to play out. Like, would you be shocked if an hour from now, Josh Jacobs gets traded? Would you be shocked?
No, because that's venom. There's real bad blood.
Would you be shocked if Nick Bosa got traded?
Yeah, I totally would.
So NFL holdouts to me are some of the biggest chicken dances of all time. They all end in the same spot.
So we're talking about the enormity of what the zeros that are going to be on that check with Bosa.
They know that. Right. The 49ers know that.
I appreciate you being honest, Jay, because it's just from a spectator, like, that's bothering me.
Well, I don't disagree that it's going to get done.
Yeah.
But it's just it's very simple to see why it hasn't
Saturday
gotten
night
done.
before they head to Pittsburgh. I'm like, you don't want that,
but if
Mark.
you
Nobody
think-
can sell me on that.
No,
Okay.
it won't be that.
But if the Niners think Bosa is going to blink, he ain't going to blink. Like that's the if $5 million here, bonus money there, like they're gonna lose this negotiation.
Okay.
Like they're gonna
but you win because you got the player.
They may end up thinking, hey, you know what? Debo thought he was gonna get this, and and I think the Niners do oddly care about that stuff, which is not a great thing, like internally.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's business. They're not doing that with Bosa. Like they're gonna end up having to gulp and swallow it and do it. But to me, it's like, why not just do it now? Like they're not going to end up saving on Bosa.
Not to go back to what we've already touched on. I'm just reading this on X.
Take your time.
Did Sean King come on with you guys and say that he would
He did.
start Trey Lance game one?
He did.
What in God's name of kind of an opinion
can
is
I
that?
paraphrase that? Go ahead, Evan.
So the context behind it was he, from what he saw last year with Brock Purdy, believed that it'd be easier to go from Trey Lance to Brock Purdy than from Brock Purdy to Trey Lance. And it was weird because he also set up
Go
earlier
ahead.
that
The opposite, almost.
he wouldn't have taken Trey Lance in the first place. He didn't think the situation was right. He also is not sold on Brock Purdy. So there was a little back and forth, but I think his premise was that he's already seen a backup quarterback step up and help you out. He doesn't think Trey Lance could do the same. That's kind of where that came from.
I
I still disagree.
Yeah, I'm wondering why does anybody, do y'all still think the 49ers feel the need to force feed the whole Trey Lance thing?
No.
Yesterday was confirmation if you haven't already seen it.
How many different things do they need to say?
Mark, anything that
John
pops
Lynch.
off now, he could be off to. JD, I'm not an advocate for it, but I see what they could see now that I was. He didn't get the opportunity. No, you and practice counts. If something's going on to where they've been seeing. He ain't improving.
The quote from King,
Not
the
enough.
middle of it, how can you give up on the experiment in that limited time because of injury? Nobody's got time for any experiment.
They're trying to win. No
There's
puberty.
no
They're trying to
experiment.
win a Super Bowl.
This isn't an experiment. That's not what this is. We're not doing an experiment.
And
The
it's
49ers
again,
are trying to win a Super Bowl.
and it's also
we got
not
a season to play.
And if
about-
Brock gets hurt,
This is not
and
science
he's
class.
the backup quarterback, I would feel more comfortable with Darnold being the backup than Trey.
well, that's the question that
How
I think
can you-
every 49er fan
Well,
has to ask
Unless
themselves
politics, yeah.
You
Look
know
at
what
you
the
two.
actual
All right.
question is.
in putting. Go ahead.
Well, the question I think is actually going to become, what do you let politics allow you to keep Trey Lance as the 3?
What?
Because what if Brandon
Yeah.
Allen
See,
is even better than
I
Trey Lance?
remember I would get mad before I can't even.
Do you keep your 3 best QBs on the roster right now, or
Wow.
in lack of anticipation of even getting to QB3, do you politically and financially just keep Trey Lance as your 3?
Well, Tim Roy, that's a great question. I can't wait to hear you guys dig into that from 2 to
We'll see you
6.
tomorrow. We'll be listening.
Coming up next, Willard and JD in for Dibs on 95.7 The Game.